This conference will now be recorded.
This video I am going to discuss about managing files from command line. So I am going to discuss about file system hierarchy. So I already logged into a Linux system. So I am going to log in as a root user. So we can see that I want to go to the parent directory cd/. I am going to parent directory root directory. So when I do ls, we can see that there are many folders are there. So each folder, I am going to explain about each folder. So when I go to bin folder, it having mainly the commands. So we can see that all the user commands are there in the bin directory. So ls command, catch command. So generally regular users are using lot of commands. All these commands are here. So I am going to cd/ again. So we can see that when we go to sbin folder having administrator commands. So bin directory having commands and utilities for regular user. So if I go to sbin folder, we can see that mainly we can see all the administrator commands, the commands which are using by administrator. So we can see this folders, boot folder containing boot files. So when we go to boot directory, so I'm giving clear screen. So when we do pwd command, we can see that I am inside the boot directory. When I do ls command, we can see that kernel file is there. This is the kernel file. So whenever the Linux starting, so the main important operating system file is the kernel file. This is the kernel file, and there is a grep folder. It is a bootloader program. So we can see that there is a bootloader program is there. Grep means Grand Unified Bootloader. So bootloader programs also are here. So I am going to check again. So we can see the etc folder. etc folder. When we go to etc folder, we can see all the configuration files are there. There is text files, configuration text files are there. So for example, if I open this password file, so there's a password file I'm going to open. So there is this file having all the users names, IDs and everything is there. So etc directory having the configuration files, and we can see that there is a dev directory. Device files are there. When we go to dev directory, all the device files, each and every hardware device, hard disk, cd-rom, everything having a corresponding device file in this directory. So when I do ls-l, we can see long listing. So we can see the first letter is indicating it is a character device. Some of the letter it will be showing B here, it is showing a block device. So some devices are character device and some devices are block devices. This all the directories are there. So lib directory having library files. Home directory, if you go to home directory, every user having a folder here. So we can see that whenever we create a user, each user will be having a corresponding home directory here. So when I create a user and Alice, we can see that in this folder on home Alice folder will come. So every user will be having a home directory. Their home directory is inside the home. Inside the home, they will have a subdirectory. So we can see there is a root folder is there, a root folder. So the root folder is the home directory for the root user. So when we do cd root, we can see this is the home directory for the root user. And tmb, if tmb, there's a tmb folder is there. Tmb direct folder having the temporary files are there. So all the temporary files will be there. And user folder containing, so when I go to cd/, when I go to cd user, there is mainly operating system related files are there, OS files are there. So operating system files are there. When I do ls-l, it will show all the details. And we can see that another folder is var folder having having the data files. For example, when we go to cd var, So there is a subdirectory for DB, database related database files, email files, log files are here, var log, and suppose I installed web server that files will be there. So they will be having the data file for the applications are will be stored here. And we can see that there is a run folder is there. Cd run means in the directory there is runtime data will be there, because it will be variable file. These files will be dynamic files. Suppose some processes are started, their IDs all will be stored here, but when the computer restart, this will be this will be deleted. So there is another folder called proc folder is there. So it is also a virtual file system. So whatever we save in this file system also, it is not permanent. So we can see there is lot of files are there. So if you want to see the system information, if I check cat CPU information, so we can see that it will show the processor information. So what processor we are using and its configuration. So we want to see the memory information. We can see that if I open the mem info, it will show the memory, how much memory is having, all this information it is showing here. So if I want to see the partition information, we can see all the partitions we can see. So I have to use cat a partition file. We can see that all the partitions will be partition related details will be showing here. So this much folders are there. Every folder, like when we install Windows, we know that in Windows system, so there are a lot of folders will be created by default. Windows folder, all this will be created. Like in Linux, when we install Linux, all these folders will be automatically created. These folders are automatically created. So we can see that why these folders are using. So user folder having installed software, and user bin command contains the user commands. User is mainly for installed software. Etc for configuration text to files. So whenever you want to configure anything, you want to create a user, you are changing password, or you want to configure a web server, everything we are doing by editing text to file. Comparing to Windows we are doing by graphically, but here we are configuring everything by editing text to file in this folder. Var directory containing the data for web server. So we know that in a web server, we have data called HTML file is the data for web server. Database, they have database file, log files, email files, everything will be there in this folder. Run means runtime data. So that data will be changing. And home directory containing home folder containing home directory for regular users. Suppose we creating the users, all the users will be having a corresponding home directory here. This is the home directory for the root user. Root user is the administrator. TMB directory containing temporary files. Boot directory containing boot files, kernel, grep, everything. DV the folder containing the device files. So some of the folders are static content, because when you create etc folder, if we check, all the files are not changing, so that is static content. Some of the files are dynamic file. For example, if you check the run folder, so in this files will be changing, so that is called dynamic content. Some are persistent, they will not change even after rebooting. So runtime files means with this file will be changing. So this session we are discussing about how the folder structures are working. Linux, when we install a Linux, all these folders are there. So why we are using each of the folder we are discussing. So thank you for watching.